Tyler pushed the snooze button on his alarm for the 5th time. That was his limit. He needed to get up, but this morning it seemed to take all the effort he could muster. He'd been late for work 3 times this month and had already been warned. Sure, it was just a part-time job flipping burgers, but it meant the difference between being able to afford to fill up the car's tank or not. He threw the covers back and swung his feet to the floor. When he lifted his head, it felt as if it were filled with liquid swishing around inside. God, he never had a headache this bad in his life. He chalked it up to the mushrooms he'd had the previous evening. His friend had brought them along to a party and, well, he had the best of intentions, but it had been a bad idea. He had to go to work though. He managed to get into the bathroom and immediately grabbed a bottle of Tylenol, shook out 4 of them in his hand, and swallowed them dry. That should do it. Tyler slowly got undressed and stepped into the shower. He lathered up with shampoo and began to work his fingers through his hair, then cringed as he touched a tender spot. What the hell? He finished up quickly. The spot on his head was stinging now. He wiped the fog off the mirror on the medicine cabinet and tilted his head, pulling back his hair to get a look at the spot that hurt. Sure enough, there was a large lump there, angry, red, and raised a good 1/4 inch above his scalp. Well, that explained the headache. He must have hit his head the previous evening and was too stoned to notice. Tyler felt a little better once he got to work. Once he could concentrate on his job and talking with his coworkers, he forgot about the painful lump for the most part, occasionally touching it gingerly. Rachel, his shift manager, noticed it too. "Oh, Jesus, Tyler, what the hell did you do?" Tyler was a little confused at first, then realized what she was talking about. "Oh, my head. Yeah, I must have bumped it on something. Hurts a little." "A little?" Rachel looked astonished. "It looks like it hurts a lot. Maybe it's infected. I'm sending you home. Get that looked at by a doctor." Tyler was a little ticked off. Getting sent home meant not getting paid for the rest of the day. He did have to admit that it wasn't a bad idea. He felt exhausted, and it was only 11 in the morning. More Tylenol and a nap would do the trick. He wasn't about to go to the walk-in clinic and blow more money than he had made that morning. While Tyler was in his bathroom, shaking out some more pain relievers onto his hand, "Is this shit good for you?" Ugh. He leaned in toward the mirror. He didn't even need to pull his hair aside to see the bump now. The color of his skin was changing from red to black, and a sort of crack had appeared down the center of the pustule. Yes, it was definitely a boil, and not a bump on the head, as he had originally thought. There was a thick white discharge oozing out. He wiped some off with a finger and raised it to his nose. God, that smells like roadkill. Maybe Rachel is right. It's probably infected. Maybe I should go see a doctor. He was too tired now, though. The fatigue was washing over him. He would take a nap and then head over to the clinic. He put a towel over his pillow so he wouldn't get any of the disgusting fluid on it. Even though he did not intend to, Tyler slept through the entire night. He was surprised when his alarm went off in the morning. He was also relieved when he realized that the headache was gone, and he felt full of energy. Now, he was glad he hadn't wasted money on a doctor. "See, Rachel," he mumbled to himself. "Once again, you are wrong, and I am right." He stuck out his tongue and once again turned towards his bathroom mirror. He leaned in closer. There seemed to be something poking out of the hole in his head. It didn't hurt anymore, though, so he thought that he must be getting better. He showered and then threw a cap over his head, covering up the little shoot poking out of his new head hole. Ha! He giggled at the thought. My head hole. He was feeling so fantastic. It was like a natural buzz or something. When he arrived at work, Tyler immediately threw on the kitchen cap that he rarely used. He didn't want Rachel to see the condition of his boil and freak out. She wouldn't understand how good he felt and would probably try to send him home again. Speak of the devil, Rachel spotted him from across the kitchen and made a beeline right for him. Hey, Tyler. Good to see you up and smiling. Did you get that bump looked at? Oh, yeah, sure, Rach. Feels great now. He giggled a little again. Do you want to see my head hole? Oh my God. Why had he said that? It just came out. He wasn't even thinking. He felt like he was high. Rachel's eyes widened. You're what? What the hell are you talking about, Tyler? With that, she reached up and snatched the hat off his head. Rachel screamed and let out a string of expletives. She jammed the hat back on his head and began shooing him out the door, touching him gingerly as if he had some disease that she could catch. What's wrong with you? Asked Tyler, truly confused. Just get out and don't come back without a note from a doctor. Tyler walked around for a bit. The world had become a new, fantastic place for him. The colors were brighter, the air fresher. He must have walked for miles and never realized it. He had eventually ended up back in his room, but he wasn't sure how or when he had gotten there. Nevertheless, he was tired again and fell into bed. Tyler had not needed to set his alarm. He woke as soon as sunlight began filtering through the curtains of his room. Once again, he felt wound up and energized. He skipped a shower and, forgetting what his manager had said, headed directly to the burger joint. He noticed some people on the street shooting weird looks his way, but didn't really care. Life was wonderful. Entering through the restaurant's rear door, Tyler grabbed an apron from the stack of clean linen and began to tie it on. Then he noticed Rachel and suddenly remembered what she had said. Don't come back. She had not noticed him yet, so he quickly ducked through the door to the storeroom, figuring that he would hide out there until he could slip back out. He'd be fine for a while. No one ever went back to that room unless the soda machine's CO2 tank needed to be replaced, or they ran out of ketchup packets, or something like that. Tyler's eyes began to glaze over, and he suddenly felt tired again. He curled up in the corner between some boxes and fell asleep. Tina was the one who found him 2 days later. Rachel had sent her back to the storeroom for, sure enough, ketchup packets. She let out a scream, and soon every one of the crew was running back to see what was going on. Rachel was the last to arrive and let out a gasp when she looked at him. Or it. Or him. Or it. She was not sure. Tyler's body was in the exact position as when he had laid down with his back wedged into the corner. He looked desiccated and dried out. It was not only the fact that she had found a corpse that caused Tina to scream, though. Tyler's skull had literally split open a little, and there was now a 2-foot-long stalk growing out of the crack, about 2 inches thick at its base. At the end of the stalk, there was a bulbous sac about the size of an avocado hanging from it like a piece of fruit. One of the more curious boys pushed his way to the front of the crowd and, in a display of bravado, no doubt to impress his female coworkers, crouched next to Tyler's corpse and reached out timidly with his right hand. "No!" Rachel screamed, trying to pull him back in time. "Don't touch!" But it was too late. Just as the boy's finger made the lightest bit of contact, the sack burst open, and thousands of spores puffed out. filling the room with a fine cloud of a dusty substance. It was undoubtedly inhaled by everyone present. Rachel woke up with a killer headache the next morning.